Excelsior, fellow web slingers. Um, I got a PM from uh, Casper the Meanie Ghost, and he said I could share this with you. Um, it's in the email. He gives 12, uh, an outline of 12 proofs for the existence of God, and the 10th one is actually one that you don't hear very often. So I thought I would share that particular one with you all. Um, it's the argument from free will. Let me just read the PM here. Number 10, argument from free will. Premise 1, free will cannot be the result of mere chemical reactions. Premise 2, we have free will. Premise 3, our free will began at some point. Premise 4, there cannot be an infinite regression of volitional causal agents to account for our free will. The conclusion, therefore, there is a self-existent volitional being who accounts for our free will. And I believe there is an unexpressed premise that free will can only arise from free will. Uh, it does say in premise 1 that we can't get free will from mere chemical reactions, the implication being that we have to get them from other free-willed agents. Alright, premise 1 is true because in a purely physical world, all of our thoughts and actions would be the result of chemical actions reacting by necessity. Premise 2, that we have free will, that's self-evident. If we deny that we have free will, then first, moral accountability goes out the window. How can I be held morally responsible for my chemical reactions? Second, the ability to reason goes out the window, since reason depends on the ability to choose between at least one correct proposition and at least one incorrect proposition. Hence, denying free will would literally cripple our ability to engage in any sort of argumentation whatsoever. Third, we would be forced to hold the absurd idea that the universe itself literally made everything from cars to computers to skyscrapers. After all, we could not have made those things if all our thoughts and actions are chemically predetermined. And premise 3 is true since we began to exist, as far as we know, at birth. Therefore, we have no reason to doubt that our ability to choose began at some point. Premise 4, there cannot be an infinite regression of volitional causal agents to account for our free will. That is true simply because of the fallacy of infinite regression. Alright, so that's the outline from the private email. And let's see. Yes, premise 1 does seem to be beyond dispute, or at least there's no serious reasonable doubt to doubt it. Free will cannot be the result of mere chemical reactions. Premise 2 is true by experience. We know about that it's true by experience. We do have free will. Our free will began at some point, and it comes from the enthymeme part. It comes from other volitional agents, not chemical reactions. Premise 4, there cannot be an infinite regression of volitional causal agents to account for our free will. Certainly, infinite regressions are impossible. So it does seem to follow from this that there is a self-existent, or at least a first volitional being who accounts for all our free will. So it seems that yes, free will does lead to a first volitional being, and that first volitional being we would call God. So this, I think, is an important argument because on the one hand, we experience every day our free will. We don't have to choose certain things, but we do. We could have chosen otherwise than we in fact do choose in any given case. So we know experientially that we do have free will. But yet, on a naturalistic worldview, um, on a materialist worldview, and a physicalist worldview, on certain atheist worldviews, we would not be able to account for free will, the free will that we know we have. So this shows us that atheism is, at least in the naturalistic or materialistic sense of atheism, it is not a sufficiently robust worldview to hold to. Uh, Whenever we have a worldview that can't account for all of our experiences, we know that we can reject that worldview. If we know that atheism is false, then we know that there is a God, or at least that we don't know that there isn't a God. So I think that the fact that we do have free will does point beyond atheism to a religious belief. In other words, because we know we have free will, we also know that God exists. Well, thanks, Casper the Meanie Ghost, for that and the other 11 arguments that you gave. Um, the other arguments, there was some different cosmological arguments. There was an argument for fine-tuning, argument for mathematics, which was quite interesting. Math, we can't have math without a mind, but yet the truths of mathematics are eternal truths, but they can only exist in a mind. Therefore, there is an eternal mind, i.e. God. Um, what else was there? The argument for the resurrection. Um, because Jesus rose from the dead, therefore there is a God. And the axiological argument, morality can only be explained because of God. There was another one similar to the mathematical argument, which I don't recall right offhand, but yeah, so thanks for that. Check out the channel, Casper the Meanie Ghost, if you haven't already. Good stuff. And shalom out. Thanks. Thanks for watching.